So like I said to you, Angel, this isn't a big gotcha, I'm out to get ya. I think it's so important for people to see the ripple effects of addiction, and it's not just the person experiencing it. And I love the way you talk about Jaxs online, because I can see you fighting internally. I can see you wanting to protect him still, and also being so hurt. The first question I want to ask you is, how are you truly?
There's like parts of me that are so fucking angry. Like so angry. But there's a part of me that's still so happy that I have like my daughter and I still have a good life. You know, there's other people that are worse off than me. So I try and find the positives in all the negatives. Otherwise, I'm just going to be a crumbling mess. I'm going to, you know, I don't know. It's just if you look at things so negatively, you will just be negative. So I have to find positives in shitty situations. So how am I? Angry, sad, emotional, but I'm coping, if that makes sense.
Totally.
So, yeah.
And what I love about your videos, and I see so much of myself in this, is your humour throughout it all. I don't know if it's a Kiwi thing.
It's a Kiwi thing. For sure it's a Kiwi thing. Yeah.
But you'll be telling a story and just like,
Yeah, because I have to. Or it's that, or I'm going to just like snot cry. So, yeah.
How did you and Jaxs meet?
Oh my God. So I was on Tinder many, many years ago, and I was sure about what I wanted and who I wanted to date, and he popped up and he was in like a crop top cleaning out a fireplace thing.
Of course.
And I was like, oh, not for me. And I had leaned over to grab a cracker that I was like dipping in dip. And as my phone was sitting here, my fat roll swiped yes to him. No, not even kidding, right? And straight away this man was like, you free tonight? And I was like, do you think I'm that easy? So I was just shocked, like shooketh at this man's response straight away. And I was like, oh, if he wants to play me like I'm easy, then I'm going to act easy back. And I was like, well, how much you got? Right? Like, okay, let's play the game. This man replies, about 7 inches.
You guys are both as bad as each other.
Yeah, so that there absolutely cracked me up. I'm asking him how much he has, as in how much is he going to pay me to see me, and he thinks I'm talking about his dick. Okay, like, and you say about 7 inches? Like, at least big it up a little bit.
When you first meet him in person, what did you love about him?
His awkwardness. Yeah, his awkwardness. He sat on the end of my bed with his legs crossed and he was like, sorry, I'm late. I was like, okay, that's fine. He's like, I was eating a fillet of fish outside my house in his sister's car. So like everything he said, I'm like, that would turn anybody else off. And I'm like, how do you just say it so confidently?
His lack of game is what like attracted you to him.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Tell me about those first few months of dating.
Crazy. We just hit it off so much. So he had come over to my house that night and he stayed and then he just never left. So we were inseparable the whole time. Like, I don't know. And I'm not one of these people that believe in love at first sight and all of that stuff. But I literally loved this man the first night I spent with him. And I was like, I want to marry you and be with you for the rest of my life. Like, I knew it, but I was acting all like tough bitch. Like, I don't do that stuff. But deep down, I'm like, I love you.
Really?
Yeah. So the first couple of months, phenomenal. Like, those are obviously my happiest times. And then as time got on, because like I knew he had a problem with drugs in the past. He knew that I had a problem with drugs in the past. So we connected on that level too of wanting to be sober. But obviously I'm the one that stayed being sober. So yeah, the first few months, sensational. I look back on that and I'm like, that's the love that I miss. Because everything was so pure and, you know.
And you kind of hold on to that because you know it's there deep inside of him.
Yeah.
And I think as well with loving, because my partner and I are both ex-addicts, there's a sense of, and I feel it even between you and I, there's a sense of you understand me and
Yeah.
you see me. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps talking about this. It's an unknown, it's a language that no one else speaks apart from people who have suffered with addiction.
Yeah.
With Jaxs's struggles, how soon into your relationship did you sort of start seeing things or feeling things?
He has a problem with benzos and meth. I'm going to say about 4 months into our relationship, and because I haven't had a problem with meth, but I had a problem with prescription drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I started to notice things that would happen to me when I was taking them. So I questioned him until one day I really knew that he was off his head. And he openly said, yeah, look, I've been taking Xanax, blah, blah, blah. But he had passed out in multiple places in the house. I had called his family to be like, what's he doing? Is this like a normal thing? Because I can't be around this. Like, it's too much. And right then I was like, this is a red flag. But then he stopped taking them and was like, I can't believe I've done that. I'm so sorry. Like, I've relapsed. You know, can we get through this? And I was like, okay, I'll trust him because I've got no reason not to.
Yeah.
And then he went a year clean. A year, which was a mass. But to me, I didn't know any different because we were still like in our first 2 years.
Yeah.
So I didn't know any different. But yeah, a long time he was clean and everything was great. And then not long after that, I think I got pregnant. And then that's where it became the worst.
You got pregnant whilst he was clean?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, whilst he was clean. So he had taken some Xanax, I think, for 2 days that I didn't know about. So he had kept it and I didn't know. And he said, look, I've done something. I'm not going to do it. I'll just give them to somebody else. And I was like, no, flush them. And getting him to flush them was difficult, but he did it. And he actually came clean about it. So I was like, okay, I can trust you, whatever else. And then, yeah, got pregnant. And I don't know what happened.
I hear of this a lot. I hear of this a lot of new parents, especially with new fathers. And this is just my opinion, no science base or anything. But it feels like when the dynamic shifts between a 2 to a 3, a lot of people think I'm on the outer now, especially when there's a bond between a mother and child. How soon was it with new baby that things went south?
It was before I even gave birth.
Whilst you're pregnant?
It was whilst I was pregnant. And this was probably right towards the end of my pregnancy, weird things started to happen. But because he had been sober for so long, like this would have been coming into the 3rd year of like him being sober, I guess, like with maybe one relapse in between. So I really didn't think anything of it, but the mood switches, him being overly protective of me. But when I would question him about it, he's like, well, you're carrying my child.
Yeah, so it made sense.
It made sense. And because I was so tired, I couldn't be bothered. I could not be bothered. I actually couldn't. I was just like, why are you being so strange? I wasn't allowed to do stretching at the gym or, you know, things. And he's like, other men are looking at you. Or he was just overly protective. But of course, he would always find a way to make me feel like it's just me and I'm pregnant and I'm overthinking things. He's doing the right thing. But then, yeah, secretly on his phone, and then he's just like, oh, I'm messaging. But I don't know, there was just dodgy vibes coming off it whilst he was on the phone. And I should have been able to listen to my intuition more, but I didn't because either I didn't want to know the truth or I was just being naive to the whole situation. Like, and I look back at it and I'm like, you knew he was on drugs, Tegan. You knew, but you chose not to push it any further. So many things happened during that time that was wild. But again, he's trying to tell doctors how to do their jobs. Like I was booked in for my C-section and he had read, you know, crazy things, read through the whole thing for the hospital and was like, well, she's having a lotus birth since I can't cut the cord and you can take the baby out. And the surgeon's like, well, yeah, I guess we could do that. So the night before he calls us and says, no, the hospital's not doing that. And he went crazy. Like, this man is crying, screaming, throwing things. Like, that's my baby. I'm doing the Lotus birth. You already told me. And I was thinking, who is this man? Like, who is this? And then, yeah, we obviously get to the hospital. This is super, like, probably, I haven't even worked through this yet, but we get to the hospital and I'm booked in for my C-section, and the doctors are all umming and ahhing about doing my surgery because he's still not letting go of the whole Lotus birth situation. So half of the people walk out and they're like, we're not doing it. Like, the pediatrician walks out and then they can't do the surgery without having a pediatrician in the room. So I'm left just like lying on this table in this metal room wondering like, what is going on? He's still arguing with them, and I just start crying, and I'm like, can we just do, why do you need to do this? Like, this is the day I'm giving birth. Like, what are you doing? Why are you arguing with actual surgeons and doctors? Like, what are you doing? So they ended up bringing in like trainee people to do it, and they botched my back needle. Oh, like, there's just, yeah, it was so much. He told them not to give me fentanyl. They gave me fentanyl. I started dying on the table that they had to come in and inject me with like adrenaline. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's like, because he did that, he wouldn't let it go because he was so in his head that, you know, he thought what he was doing was right. And then we had the baby. My mum was there from New Zealand, and in about, I don't know, half an hour after Lucia was born, he was like, oh, I'll take your mum home, and, you know, I've got to go do some things around the house and I'll come back. I'll go get some snacks and
Half
whatever.
an hour after
Pretty
baby was
much.
born. Okay.
Yeah, and then he didn't come back for 6 hours. But he told me that eventually it's because he was going to get high and then didn't realise how long it had passed. So, and I'm sitting there with a brand new baby not knowing what I'm doing. You've taken my mum home, which is so strange. She didn't want to go after half an hour, but...
And also your only stable support person.
So, yeah, when you're asking me when did he relapse? Well, during the pregnancy, straight after the pregnancy, and then once he came clean that he was on drugs, I was like, well, you have to leave. Like, I have a brand new baby. Like, you're going into psychosis. I didn't even know what psychosis was. And this man is like on the ground in the fetal position, punching himself in the head saying, stop the voices.
Okay.
And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you talking about? How has me giving birth like done this to you?
Tegan, even sitting here listening to this, there's a sense of anger I feel because out of all of the days, and I know that the addiction doesn't get to pick and choose, but out of all of the days, you giving birth, even that day couldn't be about you.
No.
It was about him.
It was.
How do you even, have you learned to forgive him from that situation, let alone all the rest that come after it? Because that would, to me, I'm not even a mother, babe, and that to me, I would feel some sort of fire in me.
It does. Like, honestly, truly, I think about it and I'm like, I fucking hate you. But then deep down, I'm like, but it's not you.
It's not
It's
you.
not you. He has an illness and he has an addiction, and I see more of him being his pure, authentic self, who is kind, caring. He's like a great man. He really is. And he's a great dad. But this illness turns him into someone that I don't recognize, and that's who I fucking hate. Like, I hate that person so much. But him, when he is clean and he is sober, that's my best friend, and I would never ever wish anything bad to happen to him. So, yeah, I try and protect who he is as a person because I know he's great. And he's sober more than he is obviously on drugs. But yeah, it's a really fine line.
Mm-hmm.
And when you try and explain this to people, if they don't know addiction or they've never been an addict or they haven't had someone they know being an addict, it's so hard to explain. There's two different people. There's multiple personalities, and it's an illness. It's not that he chooses to pick up a needle and shove it in his arm because, you know, why can't he just put it down and say no? Mm-hmm. It's like a depressed person. You can't just be, hey, just cheer
happy
up
thoughts,
and be happy.
Happy thoughts. I had to stop reading your comments for that very reason, because people saying, why don't you just leave him? People who suffer with addiction are not bad people. And if they do bad things, they don't do them all of the time.
No.
And we see such glimmers of hope. And like you saying, he is my soulmate.
Yeah.
He is my best friend. And I even think the universe, you know, you accidentally swiping your fat roll. There's something there. There's something in the stars there.
There is.
Let's go back to the timeline of you being a brand new mum. You've also got a partner who is now experiencing addiction. How does that actually look with you trying to juggle the everyday life? Like, does that mean he's an absent father during that time, or how does that actually look?
He's an absent father because at the point that he had told me that he was on drugs, I said to him, you can't be here. Like, it's not healthy for any of us. And I was always, if it was going to be like that, I said to him, like, I'm happy to be a single mum. I'll never ask you for anything because you've given me the greatest gift of all, which is a child. And I'm not going to be a bitch to you about it. I'm not going to slander you. I'm not going to talk badly about you to our child. I'm not going to do anything like that. If you want to be present, you can be, but you have to be clean.
Yeah.
That's
You're like,
plain.
just go and leave us, and I promise I'll never talk bad about you.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did. I'm like, you go off and you do what you need to, and I'm sure you'll come back to us once you realise, and if you don't realise, then I'm still not going to hate you. Like, I never will hate you, but I just don't want that for us. Like, I don't. So, yeah, anytime he is on drugs or he comes clean about it, he knows he has to leave. So the last time that this happened to me, because we're not together, and the romantic side of things for me, he wants our marriage to obviously work, but I'm at a place in my life where I'm so terrified.
Of course.
The trust that's been broken is, I don't even know if it's mendable, because I spent a lot of my life after I've had Lucia. She's 14 months and I feel like I missed it, because when he would come back clean, I'm just in my head the whole time wondering if he wasn't. So right now the co-parenting is great. It's easy. Obviously he's just come out of his coma and whatever. So I'm taking care of him and making sure that he's going to his appointments, he's looked after and whatever else. But yeah, it's such a hard process to be going through when he wants our marriage to work and I'm so scared to even consider it, but I still want the best for him. You know, and some people I don't think can understand that either, but I'm not going to leave that man homeless like he was, living in Tent City and things like that. No way. But I also can't help someone that doesn't want to help themselves.
Yeah, and you never will.
No, like I can't fix him. Like I can fix my own broken heart because of it, but I cannot fix a broken man. I can't. He has to want to do that. And it's just unfortunate that he decided to, I guess, do what he did right before he was going to rehab.
Oh, I do want to circle back and talk to that.
So go.
Kids are so freaking in tune and aware and little psychics in their own right. Is your child verbal yet?
She knows about 10 words.
Okay.
So she knows.
Does she ever get upset when daddy's away? Does she ask for daddy?
Ask for daddy. Yeah. And that's difficult because it's hard to communicate with her about where her daddy is, because I would say things like daddy's on holiday or, you know, daddy will be back in a few days. But it's so hard not to be like, your dad's a dick, you know, but you can't. Like my parents divorced when I was about 12, 13, and that sent me off the rails. Like I knew when I married someone, it had to be forever. Like I never wanted to have my child go through the bickering, being the middle like that was horrible for me as a child. So that's why I make it a point to never speak bad about Jaxs in front of Lucia or to her, because at the end of the day, If he's clean and wants to be an active father, he's allowed to be. I'll never stop that. If he wants to be on drugs or whatever else, then he knows that he can't be around us, and I still won't speak bad on him. Like, I won't do it. I would prefer her to grow up and decide whether she wants to see him or not, but try and maintain a healthy co-parenting relationship.
Yeah.
You know, because that's not what my parents had.
Well, I think the way you talk about Jaxs online portrays just that you always want to protect him. And I was listening to you this morning saying, you know, apparently when he is on the streets, you guys are coming up to him and kind of giving him a hard time. Please don't do that. Just send him love.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, what a woman. Because that's all you can do to addicts when people say, people write to me all the time saying, how can I make them choose me? And I said, you just can't. And then I read one of your videos, and I want to get it out because I don't want to butcher this. And I'm going to cry reading it. 2 seconds. Because you put into words what so many others who love someone with addiction is feeling. You said that people would say, oh, it's a fresh start. And you said, I didn't want a fresh start. I wanted to be enough. Are you fearful that your child is going to grow up with that sense of not being loved by her father?
No, absolutely not. Because when he is present, he's phenomenal, and I'll always let her know that he was. If he chooses not to be around, right? I'm saying that, and like he's not there currently, but I think it's more me because I have abandonment issues. So it brought up a lot of those feelings that when he keeps choosing to do the drugs, I don't even know if it's a choice for them though. Do you know what I mean? It's they also, I mean, me and why I chose to do drugs is I had a lot of internal trauma that I hadn't worked through. And when I would have flashbacks from my childhood or feelings that I remember, I would do drugs to not feel that.
Yes, it protects you in a sense. They save you in a sense. Yes.
Yeah. So the only reason I'm clean is because I have been able to work through that and not need something to rely on to feel my own emotions and feelings. I've learned to process them and why I feel these ways. Whereas when me and Jaxs have open conversations about it, he doesn't know how to regulate his emotions properly because he's been doing drugs for so long. So when he does start to feel extreme highs, extreme lows without being on drugs, it scares him to a point that he needs to mask whatever it is. So he needs a lot of work in trying to work through what they actually mean. But yeah, I definitely do try and protect him as much as I possibly can because even that, he's a phenomenal person. He's a phenomenal dad, and Lou deserves to know that, you know, and I pray that he is going to be there whilst she grows up. But again, if he's not, then me and her will still live a long, happy life.
Yeah. It's this sense of worthiness. I don't know if you relate, but when I was using and drinking and had an alcohol problem, I felt like I wasn't worthy of the life I could live. There was this huge sense of I don't deserve this. Did you see any of those self-sabotaging behaviours throughout your relationship with him?
100%. And it would usually be after we've done something massive, like we've gone on holiday.
Wow.
And then we'd come home and then he's like, you know, he will talk about we've had the best time, this, and then he will feel like he wasn't worthy of that. Or he openly tells me sometimes I love him so much that he feels that I shouldn't have. And yeah, I hate all of this, you know, and I guess, again, that brings up my abandonment issues because it's like, how could anybody feel like that? How could somebody feel so worthless inside themselves that they would happily sabotage themselves or overdose or do any of these things because they don't like who they are as a person? That's heartbreaking for me, probably because I've spent the time working through how I used to feel where I don't want anybody else to feel like that. I don't.
Yeah. That's why people start to think I'm a bit preachy with sobriety, but it's not that. It's like when you come from a place of how much better life can be, you want everyone to join you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the current timeline now because my listeners would know that I never ever reach out to guests. If people want to come on, they can come on and share their story with me. I feel so honoured. I reached out to you. I was watching your Heartbreak diaries on TikTok and Tegan is amazing with how she pours her heart out in real time with loving Jaxs at the moment. And I thought, I've got to get this girl on. Oh, my God, I've got to get this girl on. And from in between me initially reaching out to you and us sitting here today, Jaxs unfortunately had a bit of an episode. Mm-hmm. I'll let you tell the story because I don't want to butcher it.
Okay, so he had been homeless for weeks, right? He had left, he had decided to do what he was doing, and it's not as though I was supporting it or condoning it or anything. It was more, you do what you have to do. I'm going to be the best solo mum that I can be, but I will support you from the sidelines and do what I need to. He called me from Tent City, which is a place in Southport where all the homeless live, bawling, saying he doesn't want to be doing this anymore. Can I please help him? He needs to go to rehab. He needs to get clean. He needs to get sober. And I said I would help him, but I knew that he needed to detox, and this is the hardest part. Detoxing is, I didn't have it in me. I didn't. And I said, look, you're going to have to take yourself to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, you need to go. You're in and out of psychosis. You are saying things that, you might not want to be here, and what's the point if we're not together? And those are quite alarming for me. But I also don't know whether it's a tactic for him to get me to take him back, right? Because they're very manipulative and they're great with how they, can just get straight back to where they want to be. But no, he did. He took himself to the psych ward and he was there, I think, for about a month.
Wow.
And then he had rehab ready to go, which was for a year. It's in Mundoolan and it looked great. So every time he was in the psych ward, if he got let out to come see Lucia, he'd get drug tested when he went back in. But I was also drug testing him because you're not coming around to my house if you're not, I knew he'd be on benzos and things so they could wean him off, which was fine. He's okay if he's just on a small dose, but it's the meth that I worried about. But no, all good. He's sober. He's happy. He's back to what he used to be, like an amazing man. And he's going off. He's going to do rehab. He's going to come back. He's going to fight for this marriage and everything. And I was like, okay, well, do it. Like, good for you.
You show me.
It. Yeah, you show me because you say a lot of words and you don't have a lot of actions and I'm not taking you back. Like, I'm not. Prove it. Then we can maybe work on our marriage in a year or so. So he was ready to go to rehab. This is going back like over a month ago now, for the next day. And I was like, cool, you don't have to be in the psych ward. You can stay this night. You can spend the night with Lucia and I'll take you to rehab and it'll be great. Like, and then we can come see you every weekend and, we'll do it and we'll stand by you and we're proud of you. So we were meant to go run some errands, make sure he had all his meds, go through all the checklist. He had everything he needed and that was going to be our day, running errands. So in the morning, everything was all good. Jaxs was happy. He was sweet as. He usually would come with me to drop Lou off to kindy. So I was like, do you want to come? And he's like, no, I'm going to fix the things around your new house that need to be fixed, like scratches I'd put in the walls from moving the TV up or, stuff that he's like, I'm just going to quickly do all these things for you before I go so I know that they're done. And I was like, oh, sweet, like all good. And he was like to me, can we please have steak for dinner? I was like, cool, I'll quickly stop off at the supermarket and I'll grab a few things. So I go and drop Lou off and I was like, oh, I'll just call him to see if he wants anything else. I'm calling him and he's not answering. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then instantly.
Can I ask, were your palms sweating when he didn't pick up?
Yes. So the instant rush of fear made me feel sick, right? The anxiety riddled me that I was like, something's not right. He's either done the runner or he's high. And I was like, something's not right. And I think I called him, I think I said 27 times. I checked yesterday because I posted it and it was 21 times.
A lot of times you've tried to call him.
A lot of times. And I was like, you know what? This is just so strange. I'm going to go home. So I've got to call a number to open my front gate, and I've done that, and it takes me 2 minutes from when I open the gate to get inside. And as I open my front door, I can see his legs like on the ground, and I was like, fuck off, dickhead. And I'm looking around for a camera because I was like, if he's going to pull a prank, it would be a massive one the day before he leaves. So as I kept walking inside, then I noticed, no. This isn't a prank. This man's face is blue. He's laying in a puddle of blood. My whole body just shuts down, and the first thought, walk, run.
Yeah.
Like, go, because this is too much for me. And then I don't know what happened to me. I honestly do not know what happened to me. My whole body just went into like, I feel like it wasn't even me. It feels like I was watching myself. So I'm checking this man's pulse, like on his neck, there's nothing. I'm checking his wrist, there's nothing. I put my head down to see if I can hear him breathing. There is nothing, right? This man's eyes are half open and the whites are grey. The inside of his mouth was so dark blue. You should never witness someone's like this, right? So I called 000 and I'm saying like, he's not breathing. I don't know what's going on. What do I do? Just like hurry up and get somebody here. And they told me I had to do CPR, and I was like, I don't fucking know how to do CPR. Like how?
You're like, just get here.
Yeah, I am freaking out. So I'm like, just get here. I roll him to the side because they were like, if he's overdosing, roll him to the side. And I was like, did that. And they were like, does he have any injuries? I was like, he's got a massive head injury. Like I can see his skull. And they were like, roll him back. Now you got to do CPR. So they told me how to do it. They were like, where his nipples are, you've got to go directly in the middle, one hand over the other, and you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I had to say it out loud so she could hear it. And obviously this is going to be a lot, but the first 8 I did, the cracking of his chest.
Yeah.
And like the crunching of whatever's in there, it's like cartilage and bone, right? I can still hear like the from doing it, and that will forever stay in my mind. I hear that when I go to sleep at night, and it's terrifying. But it takes a lot of effort to do CPR. So I'm gassed, right? I am gassing out, and she's like, no, you can't stop. Like you've got to keep going. The ambulance is on its way. The sirens are going, and everything else. And I'm still going, and I'm swearing in his face like, I fucking hate you. Like, don't you fucking die, cunt. Don't you die on me. Hurry up. And then he took a gasp and then instantly started snoring, right? And it was the weirdest snore I've ever heard. And I'm like to the lady on the phone, oh my God, yay, like he's breathing, he's snoring. Like he's not awake, but he's snoring. And she just, in the calmest voice, no, Tegan, that's not him snoring. It's because he's not getting enough oxygen to his brain. You need to keep doing CPR. So my happiness, like, instant back to like shock, back to CPR thinking, what do you mean? Like he's snoring, he's breathing. Until I found out it's like called a death snore or something. It's
the death rattle.
Yeah, it's something like that. And yeah, it was crazy. But 12 minutes it took for the ambulance to get there. And it was crazy. Like they ran in, they grabbed him by his feet, they dragged him along the ground. And I just remember looking at it because there's a huge blood trail from his head. And yeah, it was crazy. But they ended up having to induce him into a coma because they couldn't stabilize his blood pressure or something. And then they had to move him from a hospital to another one because they didn't have the equipment to keep him alive. So yeah, it's been a rough ride.
Do you think he was going to die?
Yes. And I still did whilst he was in his coma because they still couldn't stabilize him, and the doctors were saying they weren't giving me clear answers and they weren't giving me any understanding. So when is he going to make it? You know, is he going to have brain damage? Is he going to have this? Is he going to have that? There was no ever clear answers. It's always a lot of very long doctor lingo of, well, we won't know until, we won't know. And okay, I get that, but just help me.
You're also exhausted.
I'm running on like adrenaline because like I think I had to message you because we had already had this plan, and I was like, look, this is what I've walked into and everything else, which would obviously be very confronting for you. But
Tegan's messaging me. She was like, hey, babe, I don't think I'll be able to do the interview. This has just happened. I said, fuck the interview. But I want to talk about this because it's a trauma response, right? And you're almost like, everything's normal. Everything's normal. It's just Jaxs almost died. I think you actually said on your video, I wanted to go to the pub. Oh, I wanted to go to the pub. So not only are you messaging me saying, hey, babe, sorry, can't do the interview today. You're like, oh, I want to go to the pub. Can we talk about that?
Yes. So my friend had finished work and he was like, oh my God, like I need to come make sure that you're all good. And he did that and I was like, I just want a beer and a game of pool. And he took me to do that and it was just, there was nothing there for me. I feel like I just needed to be somewhere, anywhere but there.
Yeah.
Anywhere but there and to do something. I suck at pool. I fucking suck at that shit. But I wanted to play it. I wanted to play because I needed to be doing something that was just anything other than thinking about that. Mm-hmm.
Did you go and have a beer?
I did have a beer.
Did you get a bit lit?
No.
Did you only have a drink?
I think I had 2 beers and by that point there were so many phone calls going on between my mum, his dad, friends and whatever else that it was like every time I would be on a phone call, it's for 45 minutes plus. So there wasn't time for me to get lit or anything like that. And that was terrifying for me too because I'm not in a good place. So for me to get wasted would be terrifying to think I'm not emotionally ready to be
Pandora's box.
Yeah. Hell no.
Good on you, because I don't know if I would be able to stay sober. Even as 2.5 years sober, I don't know if I was confronted with the love of my life, being his skull cracked open and having to watch him come back to life. I'm probably going to turn to wine. I'm probably going to turn to a vice. Tell me your thought process about, did you end up telling your daughter?
No. And I won't until she's old enough to process it because obviously her being 14 months, she wouldn't be able to.
Yes.
And it's so hard, right? Because when I look at it, I'm like, you knew what you were fucking doing. You were waiting for me to take her to kindy. You knew. And it's a very hard conversation for me and him to have because he's telling me he doesn't know why he did it and I'm not going to be the one to try and force it out of him either, you know? Like, you did what you did though. You did what you did and I had to clean up the mess. And he's obviously extremely sorry because he's paying for it now, isn't he? He's extremely slow. He's not himself and...
Yeah, Tegan was telling me off air that his motor skills aren't up to scratch still.
No.
Understandably.
And it's been weeks. But yeah, hand-eye coordination. He drives a lot and that's perfectly fine. But even his walking, it's not like normal walking. He can take a few steps and then he'll drag his feet or trip up really easily. And I mean, if you've lived a normal life and then you get stuck with that, it's obviously going to be extremely frustrating and we don't know how long it's going to be.
Does he remember the events of the day or did someone have to tell him?
No, his memory is also not great. So he knows we're married, but he doesn't remember the day we got married. He doesn't remember our engagement. There's so many things that are still not, he can't remember. And apparently that's normal from having a massive head injury and being induced into a coma. So every day when we're chatting or whatever, I mean, it's great for me because I get to tell all the cool stories and like really exaggerate things. So
I was smoking hot, babe. You should have seen me.
Yeah. I was benching way more than you. No, but yeah. So I'm just trying to obviously get all of that back and I take him through photos and he still doesn't remember and obviously that affects him because these are meant to be some of our happiest moments and he doesn't remember them. So
Tegan, there's an element to this where it feels like you have been grieving this relationship for months and months and months, whereas because of his illness and his most recent episode and his memory loss, he kind of swoops in and he wants to be married and he wants to, love on you so hard. Do you feel like you often have to break the news to him that we're not getting back together and that this has happened? Like, it's almost like your grief, yes, it's played out a lot slower and longer. It's almost like he learns about it every day. I'm not explaining that properly.
No, you are. So he makes it very clear that he wants us to be together in our family, not to break up and everything else. But he's also very confident that he wants to finish doing his rehab and get sober. And
okay, so that's still the goal.
That's still his goal. Once he gets the A-OK that he can go, he will be going. It's as far as what he tells me, right? Again, whether that's the way it eventuates, then I guess we'll see. But no, he completely understands where I'm coming from because my trust has been broken so much and he knows it has. He hates that we're not getting back together, but he also respects my decision because of the things that he's put me through. So even though he's at my house at the moment and I am taking care of him, it's not as though it's like a romantic taking care of him. It's more, I nearly feel like a caregiver without feeling like a caregiver.
No, you can feel like that.
But I mean, he still does things what he can. So like empties the dishwasher and does the jobs that he can do the best that he can do. So it's not as though he's just there for a free ride or anything like that. But yeah, it is a difficult one because I never want to say never ever getting back together.
Never for anything, I reckon.
Yeah, never for anything. So, I mean, look, in a year's time, if he comes out and he's clean and he wants to do marriage counselling or we find ways that we can work on getting that trust back, I'm open to it. Like, I'm not out just looking to find somebody to sleep with or anything like that. It's not, you know, I've got a child. I'm there to raise her and I've got to heal too. I couldn't ever imagine getting into a relationship whilst I'm like this. You know, because I'd just think toxic things all the time. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, never say never.
Something that you raised in one of your videos, which I felt to my core as someone who still struggles with their finances after addiction, is the financial strain that he has unintentionally put on your family. Do you feel comfortable talking about that?
Yeah, absolutely, because I feel that comes with addiction. A lot of people that message me having a partner that's an active addiction or had been an addict will always tell me that they steal from them or they're running through people's houses or they're doing something to get money. This time was the worst it's ever been. He took everything from the savings account. We had a joint account, so he had access to that. He also had the details for my account and took the money from there. And I'm extremely lucky that my friends had set up like a charity thing for me and they raised me $10,000 in 3 days. So honestly, without that, I don't know where I would be. But that was and then just little things that he had done that he never would have, which I would send him the rent money, which was $1,100 a week, right? That is a lot. You live on the GC, you're paying big money, right? So I would get about between $1,300 to $1,500 a week from my work. I would send him the rent. He just had to pay it and he paid the other bills, whatever needed to be paid. And then my landlord calls me and she's like, hey, why haven't you paid rent in a few weeks? And I was like, you're fucking kidding me. So I think it ended up being around $4,400 that I had to pay, right? And then I needed to move out of my house and find somewhere new, which was also a huge struggle.
The bond, the moving. I've just moved and it is so expensive.
Girl. So then when people are like, where's this $10,000 gone? You've just blown it. And it's like, bruh, I could literally give you all of the receipts to show you that it was way more than $10,000. Even though I'm grateful, I'm like, without you guys, I probably would have been in a shelter or I would have been somewhere. Like I couldn't just pack up and go home. Like my child doesn't have a passport. You know, there's so many things. And
you have no support system here.
None.
I think, I don't know if the listeners understand that. Like you have no family here, like no support system. So essentially it's a single mother who
has nothing. All I have is an online presence, right? And a lot of my friends are my online friends. They don't live here either. So I mean, yeah, it's great for online support, but for needing someone to have your back or to go live with or to do, I don't have that.
Your nervous system must be absolutely shot. Are you constantly in fight or flight?
Always. And because I have a problem, I'm not in an active addiction, but I don't trust myself. So I don't take medication for my anxiety
Same.
or depression or anything because I'm so scared that I would like it because of my addictive personality, and I would just take a couple of extra, maybe one more of these, and then I'm reliant on that again. Like, I can't live that life ever again.
The slippery slope of ex-addicts, as soon as we find something that makes us feel good. I'm addicted to feeling good or bad things.
Yeah.
And I go hell for leather. I'm right there with you. Where to next for Tegan? Are you taking everything day by day? Are you hopeful for this time next year where he might be clean and sober?
I'm day by day because I don't know. And my problem is I put so much expectations on things. I'm a control freak. I like everything to be a certain way that if I, like, it's great to think about these great things, but I don't want to let myself down again because I've done it so many times where I'm like, cool, just wake up, have a shower, do the, and I'm just awarding myself for the tiniest things that I'm doing because, like, I've done that. I've done that. I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. I just want to enjoy the moment of getting through this. Like, I feel like I've missed so much of my daughter's life being so worried and so anxious about Jaxs that now that it's not about Jaxs, it's about me and Lucia, that I'm like, I just need to take every day as I can for me and her because she needs me at my happiest. She needs a happy mum to be a happy child. So right now that's all I care about.
I'm going to start wrapping up this amazing interview. Why me and so many hundreds of thousands of people love you online is how authentically you show up. Why did you make that decision to talk about what's happening in your life in real time?
Because a lot of our videos are obviously comedy things, and I kept it a secret because I was ashamed, and I thought, you know what, fuck that. Why am I ashamed for my husband's addiction where I know what he's like? And I just hear people talking about addicts and the way that they are, that I was like, I'm talking about this because not all addicts are disgusting people when, that all have DVOs and all do this and all do that. And I want to explain it how I'm actually living it. So however you perceive that is entirely up to you, but I'm not going to fake it. I'm not going to, I want people to understand that loving an addict is fine. Holding their hand is fine, but they're never going to change unless they want to. But they're not bad people. It's just an illness. It's a sickness. They can't help it. But if you give them reassurance that there are ways out of it, you can help them. You can help someone. It's definitely not easy. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole entire life. But they're not bad people. They just need help. So, yeah.
What will, I know we're taking everything day by day, is Jaxs going into rehab. He's living with you now. His motor skills are a bit slow. How does his healing and recovery look like?
Oh, it's tough because we actually don't know. We went to the doctors about 2 weeks ago, and they were still like, look, we're not going to know for maybe another 3 weeks. And it just seems as though it keeps getting put off. He seems to improve in some things, like his handwriting, but who knows? What happens if he never gets better? Like, these are the questions that I ask myself, and I say, don't start getting anxiety about something that you don't even know, because why do you need to put yourself through that more? I will sit there and think about stuff like that and have to force myself not to, because I don't know and I don't need to work myself up about it. But it is a possibility that he might not ever get better. And then he would need a carer probably, because he can't pull hot pans off stoves, or everything that we do every day, we're so used to it that we never take it for, well, granted, I guess. But for him, watching him do that, I count my lucky stars every day that I have the mobility that I do, because I couldn't imagine having to rely on somebody else to help me with the bare basic tasks like tying my shoelaces.
And we were speaking off air about how heartbreaking it is to watch him try and do the things that he's always done and just see him being so sad and disappointed within himself. And we even got teary talking about it because, like you keep saying, he's such an amazing dad and he's so fit and he's so young. You know, it almost feels, obviously when things like this happen to anyone, it feels unjust and unfair. But to happen so young, it just feels even more, unfair.
Oh, it is. And it's heartbreaking for me because, you know, you expect him to get angry. You ask me, does he get angry about it? And he doesn't. It's more the heartbreak and disappointment. But that's, like you said, it's worse. I would rather him get angry and try and throw things around and, you know, and express his emotions. But I can just see the heartbreak in his face and, you know, just the why can't I do this? When am I going to get it back? And he's asking me questions as if I'm a doctor and I can't give him the answers. And then he says things and gets upset. Well, what happens if I'm always like this? No one's, you know, you're not going to want to stay with me. You're not going to want to help me. And then it's all of that again. And that's also heartbreaking because you don't want to see a 30-year-old man need a full-time carer. Like, it's a lot.
This will be my final question. How do you look after you?
Honestly, I feel for the last, well, maybe even year, I haven't really been looking after myself. I think I've just been surviving and existing and trying to do things to not relive everything. But now I'm seeing multiple people, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, and a therapist, and it's time. This is how I'm going to be working on myself, is I have to heal from this or just talk about it more and try and figure out my why, which is obviously my daughter, but my why again? What are my hobbies? What do I like doing anymore? Because I've neglected all of that by becoming a mother and
caretaker, essentially.
A caretaker and loving an addict. So, yeah, I guess in a year when we probably have this conversation again, hopefully the things have changed and I'll have a greater story.
I have to thank you not just for coming today, which I'm so grateful for, but for the way you show up online. You give, I'm going to get emotional, you give people who are in the same situation hope with your authenticity, with your humour, with still loving and protecting him to your core. What you're doing is so admirable. And I love that you always, and I keep talking about this, you just want to protect him and you just want to love him and you tell the public to love him. That takes a fucking woman. That's a strong woman, because how easy would it be for us to sit here and slag him?
Oh, I couldn't. I just could not do that. But yeah, it would be easier.
It's easier. It's easier. It'd probably be easier to leave.
Yeah.
It would.
But he's still a human being that has feelings, and he's just like any of us, apart from his illness is probably a lot greater than most of us have ever endured. But he's working on it, and I don't know. I feel everyone should be kind to each other. If everyone helped each other out, we would have less crimes and less this and less that. But
just even understanding, just coming from a place of understanding.
Yeah.
Because he's hurting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. How can we support you? Can
Positive
we subscribe?
messages,
Can we comment on your videos?
Yeah,
How can we
just
support you?
anything like that, anything positive. I obviously get a lot of negative shit and a lot of haters, and look, I enjoy roasting them online too, but I love the kind messages and just the support, and even other people's stories. I originally found them quite triggering, but now I also find them empowering, because it's like us women have been through it. It's men message me about, you know, their partners as well, and there's so many people going through what we've been through, and I love seeing the happy side of things. So, yeah, just a happy message, a follow, comment, anything like that. I'm happy for it.
I can't wait for us to be sitting right here on this day in 1 year time saying he fucking did it. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps.
I hope, I pray every day. I believe he will this time. I believe he will.
Thank you so much for coming on Soberly Speaking.
Thank you.